One of the most stressful times in life is when we're dealing with change, which really, in all ways, is a death of something. It's a leaving of something. Even if we're moving on to something great, we're still giving up really our egoic self of who we were in our past situation. And believe it or not, even if you're going from something you didn't want to something you do want, you're going to have a moment of mourning. And I'm currently going through a time, my little brother is in hospice right now, and he is not able to communicate. He's never been verbal. And so it's really hard to know what he's feeling and what he's going through. He has the mindset of, a very young child. And so there are not complex conversations that we can have. I'm not even really sure what he is consciously aware of as far as life or death is concerned, and I really don't think he has any concept of it. And so what is so amazing to me about working with the angels is that it's like having a personal friend who not only can be with you 24/7, really is with you 24/7, you just have to be listening and aware, but is also able to, but functions outside of our 3D space-time continuum. And what I mean by that is they are not limited by our earthly plane. They're not limited by our human bodies. They're not limited by our three-dimensionality. They are multidimensional and beyond the infinite. They're in that time and space and place, or however you want, or dimension, I guess is really the easiest way to explain it, or frequency or energy level, where they're able to see past, present, future all at the same time, because time is really a constraint and a time and a concept, a framework that we've all agreed to, who are here present on this earth. It's simply an agreement that we all have. If you look quantum physically at space and time and material and, everything, there's really nothing but a understanding or a combined energy field, or a way that energies interface with each other and just decide to cooperate, that even makes this what it is. We are only able to really even sense less than 1% of what we know is out there. 96% of what we know is out there is actually what we call dark matter or dark energy, which means that literally means we have no idea what it is. And if you're looking even on the atomic level, and everything that we think of as material is made out of atoms, 99% of an atom is simply empty space, and it's just the energy force field that holds together the matter that is in there in a certain way. If we go way back to the Big Bang Theory, to the beginning of singularity, where the moment before the bang happened, all material was in a tiny little pinpoint, so small to even be able to tell. And that was everything. That's all the planets and suns and stars and moons and everything that we know of as the universe and is real and seeable and visible. So in the angelic plane, the great thing about it is that there are different angels or personalities that really focus, and they're kind of the minister or the the expert in certain things. And so for death and dying, that would be Archangel Azrael. And Azrael is known as being the one in the Bible that passed over the houses in Egypt for the firstborn. And that's an interesting topic I'll talk about later, is the way that angels have kind of morphed and shifted and changed throughout time and history based upon the mindset of man. But Azrael is there to help those that are grieving. He's there to help those that are dying. He's there to help those that help the grieving and the dying, like the hospice workers and the nurses and the bathing technicians and the caretakers and the funeral directors and all these other people that deal in the funereal or in the dying field, in some shape, way, or form, but aren't necessarily directly related to that person who is moving, transitioning. And that's really all it is at the end of the day. It's just, there's no loss. We are all one thing at the end of the day. So, though my mind and my body have been in a state of grieving, and I have been crying from time to time, I also know that my relationship with my brother will go on forever, and he will always be with me. And another thing that has become very clear to me is, people often think, because Tommy has cerebral palsy, because he is not fully functioning and not verbal and not able to hardly do really most things for himself, very low on motor skills. Some people have thought that he had less than an ideal life, and that is very egoic of us to look at someone else's perspective, or because when we look at someone else's life and perspective and where they are, we're looking at it from our perspective and how we would feel in that situation. But we are not them, and they are not us. And I know that from my little brother, I have learned patience and joy, and how to thrive with no agency or very little agency. How to find the good in people, and to also be very honest about if people are bad to me. It's not about, when you forgive somebody, it's not about forgetting, because you're not setting yourself up to be a victim forever, but you're forgiving and letting go because it assists and helps you and lets you let go of that energy, but you still remember so that you won't get hurt again and can help others not get hurt. He's really been a true leader for me in my life, and he really kept me on focus for what's important. And he certainly has woken up the mama bear in me, because I frankly don't care who doesn't like me if I am making sure that he gets properly cared for. And I have triggered quite a few people, and that's okay. I'm okay with that, because the scriptures even talk about how we equate our love with how our love we give to others by our love for ourselves. And so my love for myself and my love for my little brother is how I express God's grace, and who God is, and I can't help but do it. I'm so filled with a passion, and just an urgency of care and that just comes out of me, whether I wanted it to or not. And I'm so thankful for that, because it's so shown me what a deep, empathetic, compassionate person I am. It shows me the depth of feelings that are possible for me. And I truly believe that you can only measure your limits for joy if you know your limits for sorrow as well. And that's different than suffering, because you can be in sorrow and you can have pain and not suffer. That's a different concept. Suffering is thinking that things should be different than they are. And Tommy has also taught me the concept of sunyata. That's a Buddhist term that talks about the reality that we are all in this chaotic potential, that literally everything is happening around us at all times, good, bad, and different. And of course, good and bad is how we determine it. There is nothing that is necessarily inherently good or bad. We're the ones that decide that. But just the idea that we are in this this chaotic maelstrom all the time. And how do you maintain your peace and your level of sanity, in that hurricane that you are in all the time? And that is one thing that he has taught me is that true, because with my experiences with him, I have experienced extreme joy right next to extreme sorrow. Boom, boom. Almost to the point of making you feel bipolar in a sense, but I have learned to not give weight to either one, to appreciate both of them, to understand the lessons that are in both of them, and understand the rhythm of both of them, and my capabilities in both of them. There are great strengths and opportunities available in joy and grief and sorrow, and I am so thankful for all of them. And I'm thankful for him being here and allowing me to experience that. And it's also given me a great joie de vivre. It's given me, who am I to not go for every opportunity? Who am I to not be fully me? Who am I to ever be afraid of anything or allow fear to ever limit me for any reason whatsoever? And that's not saying that he's living through me, although probably he is a little bit. And it's not to say that my experience is better than him, but he is living, he's still alive, so he's still living to his full limits. And who am I to not do the same and not waste a single precious moment that I have? So I just wanted to give this very personal, very authentic, very raw expression so that you can, because the only thing that I can teach, the only thing that I can express is my own experience and my own journey and my own travels. And having the angels with me has given me someone that I can always turn to. I certainly have a great support system, friends, family, those that love and care for me. But they have their own lives and they're human beings. And I can never expect them to be there all the time or to even know what I need them to provide or even expect them. The greatest way to experience not being happy or experience not failure, but is to expect someone else to fulfill your needs. They never are going to be able to. No person can ever fulfill your needs 100%, and you can't fulfill anyone else's. And to expect that is a design of being ready to have failure, being ready to be unhappy. But the angels, because they are in that other plane, they are able to always be there and to always give the support that I need. And sometimes that support is silence. Sometimes I have to just learn the lesson that right now is my time to just breathe and cry or find something that's just funny, like a cat video. There aren't always words that can be said. There aren't always things that can be done. Life is just in the being. And sometimes we like to do, and I am certainly one, I like to do because it allows me to focus and concentrate my energy on something else. And that's part of the joy of living. We get to do that, but really being a human is about being and not doing. And sometimes that's all there is. And that's something that they're able to do, is to just hold my hand in those moments when there is nothing to do but just be, and that's okay. And then the next moment happens and you've gotten through it and you're stronger for it, and your capacity for joy is higher, and your compassion and empathy for others Doesn't mean you enable them, but you understand. You understand where they come from, and you understand when they come at you with fear or hate or anger or or whatever it might be. You can understand. You can get a sense of what's actually behind it, because very rarely, if ever, do we come at someone because of something that they've directly done. We come at someone because of something that's triggered within ourselves. And that's something I always try to be mindful too, because I've certainly come at people here lately as my mama bear comes out, and so it's about being mindful that a lot of it is my own guilt and my own shame, and I'm upfront about that completely, but still human and still doing what I'm doing. So at the same time, and that's just part of it. So if there's a loss that you're having, and this loss can be moving, it can be losing a pet, it can be losing a loved one, of course, it can be changing jobs, it can be anything. It can be losing your favorite shirt. Who knows? We as human beings, I can't tell you what is worthy of mourning or grieving. That's an experience that you have. And mourning and grieving, ends and beginnings are part of this life cycle that we're in. All types of endings and beginnings. And just realizing that even with a great new beginning, there is going to be an ending, and there will be a mourning in that. Perhaps the joy of the new beginning so overshadows the mourning of the ending that you just don't even really sense it. But there is always a mourning in an ending. And so just be aware of that, and be okay with that, and allow your bodily system to be, to work. I have a talk about an infographic of how I describe the mind, body, spirit system as different phases of water. Our body is ice, which means it's very solid, and it also means it's very slow moving, slow to melt. And then in our mind, it's water, a little bit easier to move around. But still very tangible, but also forceful, and then up to our spirit, which is like mist, very ethereal and moving. And then when you get up into the true angelic realm, it's plasma, where it is just all pure, unadulterated, powerful energy. And so the higher we can get our frequency and our viewpoint and our frame of reference in our own consciousness, the easier it is to change our views and our aspects of who we are, what we expect, what we see, what we understand. And then the physical aspects move quicker too. Because when we try to move ice with ice, that's very slow and hard. If we move ice with water, it's a little easier. Ice with mist, a little easier. And ice with plasma, super easy. So it's about realizing that the work is in looking for that state of joy, looking for that state of the touch of the divine or the angelic realm. In every moment, always looking for that, and always looking for your piece of it, so that you can be as effective and as conscious and as aware as possible. Because when we're really truly in our body, we are, in a sense, unconscious. But also, even when you're in those higher realms, understanding that it does take a minute for that ice to melt. So allowing your body, that ice, to move through its own stages, and allowing your mind to do the same thing because it's a little slower. Being okay with that, but having the awareness that you've, in spirit or in plasma, have already moved into a new place, and then the physical is simply just catching up with that. And that's really the magic key to everything. So thank you for anybody that's watched all the way through this. If you are losing or mourning something, which we kind of really do almost in every day in some shape or form, or maybe it's something fairly major for you, Azrael is there to help. When I think of Azrael, I see this very sort of peachy color. And Azrael works in the heart chakra with Raphael. Raphael's the main heart chakra angel, but Azrael is there with them, and I refer to angels as them because there's no gender, as with God for me too. But anyway, so Azrael is there in the heart space, and that's where they dwell, and that's where they help, and that's where you connect to your higher stages, your higher divine being, your higher part, the plasma, is through your heart space, not through your mind, your heart. Even though we do the chakras up here, it's really this is where it happens. So I hope that's helped somebody. I know it's helped me. I appreciate everybody who's watched and held space for me. And I love me. I love my little brother. I love you. And you better darn well love yourself. And the reason I started that way is that scriptures show us that our love for others is determined or centrally located around our love for ourselves. And we have to take care of ourselves first before we pour it out to others. And I do. And I hope you will as well. So, love, peace, and release.